Good morning, people. How you doing? Welcome back to Lead Judges TV. I'm going to put this comment up straight away, Lead Judges. It's from Aaron. Good morning, Aaron. Southgate Masterclass. I think it's going to lead us into our conversation. Good morning, people. I'm your host for this morning, Dan Potts, and I'm with none other than Mr. Lee Judges. Let's just start this off, man. Lee, what the hell was that last night?
I can boogie. Oh yes, sir. I can boogie. Listen, I'm gonna say something now. I'm not gonna go too bad, too hard on England. I have to say, you have to say that Scotland were absolutely fantastic. I thought they were brilliant. I thought they defended like a team I've not seen before. They stopped us playing. All credit to Steve Clarke and the Scottish boys. I thought they really played well. And if it weren't for Pickford, for that save, which was a fantastic save, he's coming for a lot of criticism, we could have actually lost the game. But things gone wrong, and it all started to go, for me, it all went wrong in the first game, Dan, because what he done was he picked two midfield players, holding midfield players, should I say, against Croatia, when we didn't need to. Then what happens then is that Phillips had a fantastic game, so he couldn't be dropped. Then you can't drop Rice because he's been playing week in, week out for England over the last sort of year, 2 years. It gave him a problem that he didn't need to do. He should have gone in with Grealish in the first place. Should have gone with Grealish in the first game alongside, so Foden can come in there. And then what I have to say about the England performance yesterday and the bit by it, and I said it yesterday to Robbie when I was talking to Robbie. I said, you watch him make the easy decision here and take Foden off. That wasn't the decision to make. It was to take either one of the holding midfield players off or Sterling, get a little bit of creativity from somewhere else. The creativity in the side was next to nothing. And it doesn't matter how many good players you've got. This is the problem. You've got like a world-class striker and Harry Kane up front. If you're not giving him the service from wide areas or into the box and all that, he's not going to score. Now, I will say this about Harry Kane, and I've listened to what Graham Souness and Ian Wright and Roy Keane said yesterday. He does look a little bit leggy, and we'll talk a little bit about Harry Kane in a moment. But ultimately, if you've got one of your best players and your goal scorers, you've got to play to their strengths. I don't think we played to his strengths whatsoever yesterday. For me, big decisions got to be made now. I think 3 big decisions that Southgate's got to make. I think that he's got to change the midfield. He's either got to bring in Jude Bellingham in there or put Foden in there and play with two attacking players in Mount and Foden with just one holding, which I think Rice can do. And then a big decision I think has got to be put on Sterling as well, because I don't think that, he scored against Croatia, but I didn't think he played that well. But I will say this, the plus for me, Tyrone Mings, I thought he was brilliant again yesterday, so and obviously the goalkeeper. But listen, everybody's going, it's embarrassing. I don't see how it's embarrassing. I don't, when people turn around, and I've seen it on group chat today, England are embarrassing, we're embarrassing. We're not an elite team at this moment in time, so I don't see why we're saying that. We're still in the competition. It's not that we've gone out. We've got 4 points. We can improve, if I'll be honest. Whether we will or not, I don't know. But I do feel, and listen, we're not the only ones that have said it, that Gareth Southgate is out of his depth as far as this is concerned. Listen, I was talking to a few Spurs fans in the studio last night, and I'll be honest. I said to them, "What's your feelings if Gareth Southgate is linked with Tottenham?" They were, no, we don't want him. We don't want him. Well, I'll ask you the same question, Dan. If you're going to get rid of Mikel Arteta to bring in Gareth Southgate, would you?
No upgrade whatsoever.
There you go. So we've got an England manager that no one rates, and if a top job come in the Premier League, no one will go for him. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you? That he got into the job on a default, if I'll be honest, and basically no one really rates him. So, and I think that will be our downfall come the end of the tournament. Listen, I've got to say this, Dan, as well. We were talking about this yesterday. The World Cup, we was poor all the way through it.
Yeah.
I don't, I mean, everybody going mad about it. Got to the semi-final, like, you know what I mean? Well, a lot of teams could have got to the semi-final the way that it went for us. Now, a lot of people are saying, also, Dan, which is something we may be talking about, that, we're looking to get second in this group. Really? Really? Is that what we're doing so that we can get the easier group way through?
Well, I mean, listen, if you had the choice, you'd obviously take one of the lesser teams, of course, but I don't think we should be trying to play to get second place. I don't know if we did. I don't know if I saw that too much of a lack of effort. I just saw a lack of quality and a lack of a system. I'm going to blame Southgate a lot for it because I actually don't understand what we were trying to do. And the substitution was madness to bring off Foden. He was the only player that liked doing something, and he took him off. He left Sterling and Kane on, who I thought were poor. Mason Mount weren't the same player as he was against Croatia, albeit he wasn't the worst on the pitch. And he's playing two holding midfielders for the whole game. I agree with you. I thought Mings and Stones weren't the issue, and I thought our best player by far was Jordan Pickford. But I think the manager deserves to take a little bit of blame for this, Lee, because we've got attacking options on the bench which weren't even experimented with when we were needing a goal. We've got Calvert-Lewin, we've got Bellingham, we've got Sancho. None of those players got a look in, and they haven't done for the first two games now. Jack Grealish, I mean, I've got to say, when he came on, he tried so hard, and I've been saying for, I think all of us, both of us, me and you, have been crying out for Jack Grealish. But I want to share something with you because this just summed it up for me. It's come from Dan Walker, which is something that I looked at this morning. It's actually Mark Partridge who sent me this. It just summed it up perfectly for me, and I just thought, you know what? This, for me, is absolutely spot on. It's a bit small, but it's Dan Walker's Twitter, and he says, impressive from Scotland, a big night for Billy Gilmour, who we come on to in a minute. England didn't lose, though. Worried about Kane. Grealish passed to a substitute. Souness's teeth were magnificent and brilliant for Ali McCoist and Lee Dixon. On to the next one. And I think that pretty much summed it up, really. Yeah. There was nothing much more to say than that. It was that's how poor it was. And, I mean, come on to Scotland quickly and we'll come back to England. Billy Gilmour, what a talent he is. Absolutely sensational. Best midfield player on the pitch, I thought, Lee.
I thought he was brilliant. I thought, as I said, the two Tierney at the back was outstanding. I thought Gilmour in midfield made a big difference. I thought the work rate of the two boys up front was sensational. You know, they never give up. Give our back for a real test of the time. I'm going to say that McGinn as well. What a player is McGinn.
Battler, isn't he? Battler.
Oh, some of the things that he does in that midfield. And I thought McTominay was outstanding at the back as well. And you asked the question about Scotland, and I think that maybe because they didn't have Tierney in the first game, they changed it completely around. Because I think that if Tierney had played, I don't know why Gilmour didn't play in the first game. But if Scotland would have been more positive in their selection in the first game, they would be in the same position as us now and looking like going through. They've still got a difficult game against Croatia where things can go right or can go wrong. But, you know, why Gilmour didn't play in the first game is beyond me. It's beyond me, you know. So he didn't actually play Adams from the start in the first game as well. So, listen, it's not just Gareth Southgate making mistakes. It's other countries making mistakes with their team. But yesterday, he got his team spot on and got it right. And now, what I'm saying with Gareth Southgate, he's got an opportunity to do the same now and get it right in the next game and going forward. No more time for experimenting, all that. Like, you know, the team does not work. It doesn't look good. So, he's got to change it. But as I said, from Scotland's point of view, I've got a couple of Scottish mates that are playing in my football team and that. They're proud as punch yesterday. And I don't like it when people turn around and say, I was celebrating a draw. You know what I mean? Let's get this right. Scotland is first tournament for a very, very long while. Also, England, and this is what I'm saying about the cockiness of English fans as well, really. You know, our celebrating a draw. We're at home. We've got a home advantage in these 3 games, you know. So have a little look at ourselves before you start criticising other countries and saying they're embarrassing and things like we're embarrassing and this and this and that. We was at home and we didn't do our job yesterday, partly because we didn't do it with the team selection and the players, but also partly because Scotland didn't allow us to do that. And I think that's got to be said.
I think it does have to be said. I couldn't agree with you more. I think that when you look at what Scotland could have happened last night, if we would have gone and spanked them 3 or 4-0, which on paper we could have done, because they're not a quality side, Scotland. They've got some good mental strength and some good mentality in their side, but I don't think they've got the quality. They'd have been out, Lee. You know what I mean? So they're clinging on to it. Of course they're going to celebrate because they're still in the competition. They ain't been there for ages. So I don't understand that either. When it comes to Kieran Tierney and Billy Gilmour, I've never seen two performances so similar in my life. I thought they were just, everything about what they did was spot on. I don't think they put a foot wrong all night. You know, Kieran Tierney, I love him, absolutely love him. Everyone knows I do. But I've always loved this Billy Gilmour, and I don't think, I mean, if I was a Brighton or a Palace, I'd be saying to Chelsea fans, all right, if we have him on loan next season, because he is just what somebody like that needs in the middle of midfield. He just pulls the strings, he just sits there and anchors at midfield. Probably like what Arsenal need, if I'm honest with you, at the moment. But I spoke to my mum and dad last night, Lee, and it has to be said, I said, what do you think of that? Like, my dad said, it's like watching Arsenal, mate. It was so frustrating to watch. He said there was nothing going forward. It was overcautious. And I do think because Southgate has taken that as a little bit, you know, don't go at them, keep it cautious, keep it solid, try not to let them have too many chances. A little bit like Mikel Arteta does with Arsenal. It was quite similar, so I understood it. But he changed the fullbacks, Lee, which was spot on for what we both predicted. Well, I thought Walker might have played, but you did predict that Reece James had come in. Not one cross, you know. And Luke Shaw, how poor was he? The fullbacks, you know, you've got Harry Kane in there who's had 6 touches in the opponent's box in both games. Absolutely poor, looks unfit as anything. It isn't just those 3 players, but they were disappointing last night, the fullbacks and Harry Kane, mate.
Yeah, I think that this is the thing, overcautious and all that. Like, you know, listen, I went with Luke Shaw because I think, you know, I looked at Gareth Southgate's team and he left Chilwell out. And Luke Shaw had been playing really, really well in the Premier League, which he has. But that's gone. It's gone now, like, you know. I look at it and I think, like, you know, go back to the friendlies. Who's the best players in the friendlies over the last 2 or 3 friendlies that we've had? Well,
Jack Grealish was one, wasn't
he? Jack Grealish was one. Saka was another when Saka was playing on the left-hand side. You know what I mean? No, you know, Saka didn't even make the bench yesterday. Grealish on the bench. You know, so all this rubbish that he's always gone on about, oh, I'm going to play the players in form. No, you don't. You play the players like that you like and the players from certain clubs. What has Rashford done to deserve to be coming on in place of other players in front of him at the moment? Because he's not really done anything for Man United over the last few games. In fact, when he was playing for Manchester United at the back end of last season, he was injured. You know, so I'm not going along with that. Like, you know, for me now, you either play Chilwell at left back or you play Saka and Saka. Be brave. Be brave with the few decisions, you know what I mean, like in there. Or go to a back 3. If you want to get your favourite player in Maguire, you're going to have to go to a back 3. Because I'll tell you this now, if he drops either Mings or Stones for a 60% fit Maguire, then good luck to England going forward, like, you know what I mean? Because that's how I feel. So he could go with a back 3. I think if he goes with a back 3, he can, you know, then he can still play his 2 holding midfield players. But the system that he had yesterday, it needed changing, but ultimately he didn't. I felt that Reece James done okay on the right hand side, but let's get on to Harry Kane, because I think this is a very, very important thing. We was discussing this yesterday, and I want to get your views on this. Harry Kane to me is a world class player, top player. Forget about the service he didn't get. Like, is all this transfer thing in his head, like, you know? Because I mentioned this yesterday, I got shot down a little bit by it. If he say if he gets a bad injury in this tournament, right? You know, then don't forget that Harry Kane said, "I want my future sorted out before the Euros." Why? Because if he gets a big injury now, right, that's his dream move. And I don't mean that nasty to Spurs fans, but his dream move to go to Man City could be off. You know, so is he mentally in the right frame of mind for it? You know, people say, yeah, he's professional. That's it. Like, you know, so that's one question I'll put at it, because at this moment in time, forget about the service that he didn't. He didn't look quite right. He doesn't look like the Harry Kane that menaces Arsenal every time he plays against them.
Yeah, listen. Spot on with what you're saying. Do you know what you said that was spot on, mate? Roy Keane was mentioning it last night about how it could be affecting him mentally. He made it very clear 3 weeks ago when he came out and said that he wanted to leave Tottenham. And he said one sentence that summed it up for me that is so important. I want my future sorted before Euro 2020. and it hasn't been. So he's now thinking in his head, I've got a lot of things going around in my mind now. Is Levy going to sell me? Am I outpriced? Does anybody want me? Do I have to have a good tournament here to get a move that I would like to go? Do I go for it and get injured and potentially ruin my last big contract at a chance of a big club? And I think mentally he's not looking right, and I think he looks a little bit unfit. But I don't think he's looking the same sort of player mentally, Lee. So it's only been 2 games. I thought he was really poor against Croatia, but last night nothing was happening for him, and to stay on for that long is crazy. I don't remember the last time that Harry Kane's been subbed in the first 2 games of a tournament. I mean, he has been in this one. So that says all you need to know, to be honest with you, about Harry Kane. Now, I know the delivery's not been there. I was really disappointed with both Shaw and Reece James. I thought they were both poor, if I'm honest. There was it was just no delivery from them, you know. And there was plenty of times where they could have, but they decided to go backwards or sideways last night. Luke Shaw, I mean, best chance of the game, he went out for a throw-in, his cross. So I think there's some issues there as well, because the team aren't playing well. The system hasn't sorted him out. But normally when you look at what Tottenham are doing, they're playing in a very, very negative way throughout the whole of this season. And Harry Kane gets involved. He drops deep. He gets involved with the play, links up with players. I didn't see any of that happening last night. And albeit they had 3 players on him most of the time, because Scotland were marking him out the game and trying to get 3 men on him, I didn't see him trying to get into that game. And that worries me, because I don't like Harry Kane at all, and I don't care what he does for Tottenham. I don't care where he goes when he leaves, but I do care when he's in an England shirt, because I'm patriotic and I want to see us win the tournament. So it does worry me, Lee, and I wouldn't surprise me at all if in the next game, albeit we do need to win it, we don't see Harry Kane and we see him come on, because it might be that he just needs a 20-minute or 30-minute cameo performance for him to come on and get his confidence back. And maybe we'll see Dominic Calvert-Lewin up top, mate, because I don't know about you, but I don't really have any confidence after seeing him in those 2 games against Czech Republic. I know he's class and he can score at any second of the game, but from what we're seeing with the tactics, this isn't working out for Harry Kane, is it?
No, it's not working out for me. Listen, I wouldn't leave him out at this moment in time. I would change other players. You know what I mean? One is that for me, Grealish has got to start in his team now. I don't care who they leave out, he starts. And if we don't win this tournament, that will be on the end of that will be the thing that ruins Gareth Southgate. You never played our best player. Play him. Then what he'll do is he'll get free kicks, and then we can get players into the box. And Harry Kane might get on one of those headers for a start and things like that. I would change it. I would make it so that Harry Kane. I would say that if you've got Foden, so you've got Foden and Mount in that midfield alongside, say, Rice or Phillips, or you bring in Jude Bellingham, one and leave out Foden or Mount, or you drop Sterling and play Foden, but you get them players in. So then all of a sudden, let them players in those little areas of pockets and all that do their stuff. Not Harry Kane. Get Harry Kane up into the box where he's dangerous. Let them do all their sort of stuff, opening up things, and when it opens up, get the crosses in for Harry Kane. And what I think at this moment in time is that the team is not built around anybody. It should be built around. It should be built around a Grealish or a Foden, if you're going to go that route, and a Harry Kane. And it's not. It's being built around fullbacks that are in and out, and Sterling, who I'm afraid will have one good game, one bad game. He's not consistent enough,
Sterling and Mount. It looks to me like Mason Mount and Sterling are never going to get dropped. They're the 2 that he loves.
Yeah, well, listen, Mason Mount does a good job in there, you know what I mean? I think he's a very, very good player, but he's not for me. In my opinion, Foden's a better player than him, and also Jack Grealish is. You know what I mean? But he's still a very, very good player. That's not a criticism. That is not a criticism. If I was playing football and they said to me, "Oh, Jack Grealish and Foden are a better player," that's not a criticism. That's how it is. But we've got a problem. I think Gareth Southgate's got a problem, and his problem is he's got too many good players. So he's got to make decisions. You know what I mean? Now, if there wasn't, say, a Mason Mount, it'd be I'm going to put Jude Bellingham or Foden in there. It's a simple thing, but that's what's complicating him a little bit. And we're in a little bit of a situation where we've got all these good players, and we had it with England a few years back: Scholes, Lampard, and Gerrard. And what we started doing was putting Scholes out to the left or Gerrard out to the left, instead of making the decision which one is the best player and go with it. Now, in my opinion, as good as Lampard was, Gerrard was always better, but they tried to shoehorn them in there, like, you know what I mean? And this is what we're doing now with these guys, you know what I mean? So much so that we're leaving out one of them in Grealish. And it's ridiculous when people are saying, "Oh, well, we can't find a system for Grealish." Well, if you can't find go and get the manager at Aston Villa to become England manager, because he's certainly has got a system that works for Grealish, and that's how it is. And also with players not as good as what we've got for England.
I think it's a great point, and that's you just named a manager there that yesterday we couldn't think of. Dean Smith. Would you take him as an England manager? That's a potential, isn't it? I want to bring this up, Lee, because I think it's important. Now, I've been slated for this, and I'm so glad that it's a Man United fan that said it. I don't rate Marcus Rashford. Never have. Never seen that he is this outstanding £150 million talent. And Robert is a Man United fan, and he says, I don't rate Rashford. He's trash if you watch him every week. He's an impact sub at best. Now, he comes in on that left-hand side. I've never seen him play up front all season for Man United, yet Gareth Southgate thinks it's okay for him to play up front for England when he's got Calvert-Lewin on the bench and other options. What do you make of Marcus Rashford? Am I being harsh there? Because I do not see him as a 30-goal-a-season striker. I basically see him as a better version of Danny Welbeck, who's nice because he helps out the government and the what he's done outside of the pitch is fantastic, right? That's what I see him as. I do not see him as this, oh my God, this kid is going to be whatever he wants to be. He's absolutely sensational. Am I being harsh there? Or I mean, the stats have proven the last 5 years that he's an okay player.
Marcus Rashford would not be at this World Cup if he didn't play for, Euros, if he didn't play for Man United. Simple as that. If he played for Crystal Palace or he played for West Ham or someone like that, he'd be like sitting on the bench or the beach or in a party with Jesse Lingard. Simple as that. Like, you know. Now, I'm telling you this now. I don't care what anybody says. If Jesse Lingard had got into the Man United team in January and played like he did, like he has for West Ham, he would be at those Euros. I don't care what anybody says. But because he was doing it for West Ham, Gareth Southgate's left him out. But it's a lot easier to leave a Jesse Lingard West Ham player out than a Jesse Lingard Manchester United player or a Rashford Man United player. Now, Rashford at the beginning of this, at the end of this tournament, has been struggling. I think I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass. He's always had a little bit of an issue with his back, and he's had an ankle injury. But ultimately, he's come in. Luke Shaw has done very, very well this season. But Chilwell has been outstanding leading into the since the new managers took charge at Chelsea. He's come in, won your Champions League, being preferred. Is that because they prefer Manchester United players to Chelsea players? I don't know. But there's always been that stigma of the big clubs getting the chances.
You play for, yeah.
Yeah, and that's gone on for many a year, like, you know what I mean? Now, if you look at it, and I'm not going to bring it up, Arsenal don't really have that many England players. We were talking about this yesterday. Arsenal won the league in 1989, come second in 90 and third, and won it in 91, yeah? So in the World Cup of 1990, we had, this is the English players that we had: John Lukic, Lee Dixon, Steve Bold, Tony Adams, Nigel Winterburn, Michael Thomas, David Rocastle, shall I go on, Alan Smith, right? Not one of them got into the 22 of England World Cup. Not one of them. Right? Crazy. So I do think there is a little bit of an issue of what club you play for and whatever you do, like, you know. And it's the way it is, like, you know. I don't think Rashford is not good enough to be in the England squad. But are you telling me that on the left-hand side or the right-hand side, he's done better than Saka this season? Not in my eyes, he hasn't. But
or Sancho.
or Sancho, if you want to go into that as well, or as you quite rightly said, has he justified to get minutes on the pitch instead of Calvert-Lewin as a centre forward? No. Now, would you replace Marcus Rashford with Kane? Is that what you're saying that the manager's going to be doing? Well, I that's not for me. So I wouldn't say he's bang average as people are turning around and saying that. Like,
makes good sandwiches.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, but he's always going to be tied with that now. Like, nice guy sort of thing. And I don't care if he makes sandwiches, does what he does. He's done fantastically well for it. What he's done off the field is absolutely fantastic. Does 100%. That make me think, as a football person, that he's a better footballer because of it? No, I don't care. I don't look at it like that. I look on performances. If I be honest, Marcus Rashford doesn't get in my starting 11 England team. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same. And if I'm honest with you, I would put him in the squad because I think that he can give us some pace. But actually, there's other players that can give us a lot of pace as well. I'm not so sure that he's this player. He has scored a lot of goals a couple of seasons, but I don't think he's this Mbappe comparison that I'm hearing. I looked at the most expensive footballers list. I think he was third. I think he was behind Mbappe and Haaland. What's he done to justify that? I don't get it. I do not understand it. If he was banging in 30 goals...
Let's be honest, he burst on the scene fantastically well.
That's 5 years ago, though, wasn't
it? Yeah, and then he this is my point. Then he scored a couple of goals against Arsenal. Well, we won't go too much into that. But has he really kicked on from that? I don't think that he has. And when Wayne Rooney burst on the scene, he went up and up and up, and other players have done it as well. Listen, it takes a long time. Let's be honest. Jack Grealish, I think, is 25 now. At 21, that wasn't the player that he is now. So there's still time for Rashford to develop, and I think we're being a little bit harsh on that side of it. Like, he's still got lots of time. He's still young, but ultimately, he is getting a little bit more of a little bit more favouritism, should I say, than certain other players.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people agreeing in the chat as well, and also saying Foden was our most attacking player last night and Southgate took him off. Don't think anyone can really believe that.
Easy option yesterday of taking Foden off. Why? Because he's the young gun. It's an easy option. Like, lots of managers do it, you're young and whatever, like, you know what I mean? And I don't think he's doing himself justice by playing him in the position that he is. But Foden, everybody's turning around and saying, was the best player they've ever seen young, and I'm going to say he's up there, right? He's just won the title with Man City and took him to a Champions League final, being one of the best players, by the way, in Manchester City's side, right? And now you can't get a tune out of him. Whose fault's that?
Yeah. Yeah, I listen, I think the manager does have a lot to play in this. And I don't think Gareth Southgate, in his defence, has ever come out and said, this is the job that I've always dreamed of having. This is why I think I'm good enough for this job. He fell into it, Lee. Sam Allardyce had to go, and he was the only option. And I remember him in the interview saying, I was quite happy with the under-21s, if I'm honest. I was enjoying it, but the opportunity come up and I was offered it. So, of course, I'm going to take it. And I think he's great with the media. I think he's good with the players. I think he's a lovely, lovely man when you talk to him. But I don't actually think he's got anywhere near the ability and the tactical knowledge to take us forward. Because
go on, carry on.
No, I was just going to finish by saying that if you've got all that attacking quality, how can you sit there against Scotland and be happy to play two holding midfielders for that long? And if you remember, we both put them in our team, so we can't sit there and say it was the wrong starting 11. Why would you say it's not working? Why wouldn't you say it's not working? Let's get Bellingham on, or let's get one of the attacking players on and change the system.
It's exactly what we said. We said yesterday, because of what he'd done in the first game, Phillips gave him a problem. But ultimately, we said that that there will be a time when he'll have to change that. But he didn't. Listen, I say it and I say it again. Manchester City need a new manager. Manchester United need get rid of Ollie. Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham, right? None of them will go for Gareth Southgate. That tells you all you need to know. all you need to know about that manager. I don't think if Aston Villa got rid of their manager, he's a former Aston Villa player. I don't think Aston Villa would go for him.
Mm.
You know, I'll be honest. What club? Crystal Palace. Maybe he's an ex-Crystal Palace player. Maybe they'd take him. I don't know. But none of the top clubs in this country would take Gareth Southgate. Now, when Terry Venables was in charge of Euro '96, I'm sure that every top club would have wanted him
at the time.
At that stage, you know what I mean? Because he was a top manager. Now, this England job now isn't as glamorous as what it was years and years ago. Like if Gareth Southgate was to go tomorrow, who would be the next England manager? It's a difficult one. It's a difficult one.
Well, years ago, Lee, it used to be the best England coach in the Premier League took the England job. That's what it should have been. It should always be like that. And I don't know who the best England coach is. It's a good question. Maybe we can put that in the chat. Who is the best England manager? Who is the best manager currently who is English? That's a good question for the chat.
I would take Steven Gerrard over Southgate. I'm not saying Steven Gerrard's the best man, but I'm because at least he's doing things and winning things and all that. What is realistically Gareth Southgate? He done a half decent job at was it Middlesbrough? I think he was at, but nothing special there. Someone's just put in there Dean Smith or Sean Dyche. I'd agree with that there, and I'm pretty sure that like someone like
Gerrard
Sean Dyche,
Potter as well. Graham Potter is another one. Brighton doing well.
I'm sure if say like Sean Dyche, after working with average Premier League players, you know what I mean, all of a sudden had the quality that he had, I think he'd do really well at it, with the organisation that he's got in there as well. So there's a few options there, isn't there?
100%. I just want to put this in. Morning, Lev. Hope you're well, mate. If anyone hasn't done so already, go and follow the Arsenal Lounge. Great podcast. Get yourself over there. Subscribe to Lev's channel. The FA's selection of management has always held England back. They have never liked picking fans' favourites or personalities. Too many yes men picked out of the best. I think he's got a point there, Lee, to be honest.
Fantastic point, because only a few years ago, there was a choice between Roy Hodgson and Harry Redknapp. Right. Yeah. And I would say that 80%, maybe even more, if you'd have put it to the vote of England fans, would have gone for Redknapp.
Yeah, I did. I wanted him.
Well, yeah. And they went, whether you love or hate, Redknapp was doing a fantastic job at Spurs at the time. He took over Spurs when they was in the bottom three and got them to the Champions League. So he was in a position where his stock was right up there, doing really, really well. The fans took to him and loved him and all that, but we went for Roy Hodgson. Nothing against Roy Hodgson, but at the end of the day, we didn't go for the one all the fans wanted. Mistake.
Well, you see what Harry Redknapp can do on Harry's Heroes. I mean, if he can get 50-year-old men running around the site, it might be all right, mightn't he, to get us going somewhere.
And I tell you what, and in that Harry's Heroes, I tell you what I do like about what comes across from Harry, he likes a player, doesn't he? He likes the ballers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he does. You look at it there, and I know it's only a joke. I know it's only a laugh of a show and all that.
Yeah,
but he does actually come across. He takes it seriously, doesn't he?
Yeah, and if he was one of the players, he'd back you.
Yeah, and the good thing about Harry as well is I think he 100% is a man manager. He is tactically very good. I mean, Paul Merson said he's played under Arsene Wenger and Harry Redknapp. There weren't much between them tactically. But what difference is the man management that Harry Redknapp would have had. And at the time as well, Lee, let's not forget, we had the golden generation coming to an end that he all managed under West Ham and other clubs as well. He knew that lot quite a lot. And you said it earlier about what do we do with Gerrard Scholes. I would have loved to have seen Gerrard Scholes and Lampard in the three in midfield with Beckham, Joe Cole and Rooney. I'd have loved to have just seen that because we never saw it. We always had one of them left out or one of them stuck out on the left or one of them stuck out on the right. I think we missed out a lot there because that generation now, how we didn't win something in that time, Lee, because I look at this side now and think it's pretty decent in parts, but we had one of the best goalkeepers in the league in Seaman, the two best fullbacks in the Premier League in Neville and Cole, the two best centre-halves in the league, or three of them, because we had Sol Campbell, John Terry and Rio Ferdinand. We had David Beckham, we had Scholes, Gerrard and Lampard, Joe Cole, Rooney and Owen. How the hell did we not go further in those competitions there? Because I think we massively underachieved with those players on show.
Yeah. And you know, like we had some good holding midfield players as well. Like, so we had a decent side there, but ultimately, you know, a little bit. Sometimes you need a little bit of luck in football. We didn't have the luck. I remember. I thought we had a very, very good side in '98, by the way, and under Glenn Hoddle, and that, you know, not only was that a good side, England were entertaining then. There was, you know, 2 or 3 guys. You know, when you go through the years of England watching England, it ain't been that entertaining. That's why I always have to have a few beers watching England, because it's so boring. But you know, but that 1980, in that era, you know, before that qualifying and all that, like, that was a good team to watch as well. Some real, some good players, but entertaining football as well. Like, you know, that was a shame about Glenn Hoddle, really. You know, doing what he done, because I think he would have been England manager for a very, very long while.
Yeah, and 96 was the one, wasn't it? Euro 96. I really thought we were going to win that one. I was a bit young at the time. I was about 9 years old.
That
I remember
was a great.
that was just such a good tournament. I remember sitting there thinking, I think we're going to do this. I actually think we're going to do this. And I'll always remember Gaza missing that bloody chance against Germany.
Yeah,
haunting us forever, wasn't it?
Yeah, obviously 1990 was great as well. I tell you what, like, we've had, like, my first real World Cup that I really remember was '82. I was still at school then, like, when we had a decent side. Brian Robson was coming through, scored the quickest World Cup goal, and we actually went out without losing. Believe it or not, because you had a group stage and then you went into another group stage, and we ended up not winning that. But our best player, 2 of our best players were Kevin Keegan and Trevor Brooking at that time, and they were both injured going, and they brought them back towards the end of the tournament. We just didn't have enough to get through. '86 obviously was we had a really good team as well, and if it weren't for a certain Diego Maradona, we might have actually gone on and beat Argentina. Then, of course, in '90, I do feel we should have beaten the Germans that night. I felt we was really, really good. And then that was when Paul Gascoigne was the player, injury-free Paul Gascoigne.
One of the best in the world, wasn't he?
Oh, what a player he was in and around that couple of years before those injuries. You know, he was just sensational. And then in '94, of course, we didn't qualify, you know, under the Graham Taylor thing. But even in that game, we was really, really unlucky. We scored. I think I can't remember who went through now, and it didn't send Koeman off, and then actually Paul Merson hit a free kick that hit the bar, and then from there they went up and scored with Koeman. It was another joke decision, really, and so that cost us. And then, of course, in '98. You know,
96 was Southgate, and then '98 the penalties as well.
Penalties and the penalties. You know, we went down to 10 men against Argentina, and we still got penalties. And I thought that, you know, this is going to be the time that we was going to do it, but it weren't to be. You know, 2002, we was unlucky against
Brazil. Yeah,
Brazil. I think if it'd been another 10 minutes, they were down to 10 men, we could have gone on. And that was a great Brazilian team, by the way.
Oh.
You know, I look back at the teams that won in '98, France and Brazil in 2002. They, you know, when they say, "Oh, England should have won," saying, well, I don't know, when you got 2 teams like that playing against it. Like Holland were an amazing team in '98 as well. So we've been a little bit unfortunate in a couple of tournaments along the way. But the last few, I felt the World Cup last year, you know, we was pathetic, if I'll be honest. And also the game against was when Roy Hodgson took us over in the Euros as well. We went out of Iceland. Oh,
wasn't that the worst game ever? Oh,
yeah.
That was horrendous.
He was in the chat giving us a bit of stick, like,
yeah. I was just going to bring this up. Mr. Harry Simmi from the Chronicles of a Gooner is trying to be funny. Dan and Lee Kane Boogie. If you haven't done so already, get yourself over to Chronicles of a Gooner and join our friend Harry Simmi from the same old Arsenal.
He knows nothing about football, but he can cook a nice steak. There you go, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. He, as long as he's on the barbecue outside, otherwise
he's all right.
Yeah, he's all right. Judge, let's bring this up because there's a couple of ones here. Knuckles has made a good point. All I've heard is this tournament is how good and how much strength in depth we have going forward. I haven't seen it yet. Well, I think that is to do with the manager being so cautious in the first 2 games. I don't
Yeah.
think we've been allowed to see it. I don't think they've been allowed to express their flair or go forward. But then Dishan has asked this question, which I'm going to ask you. For the last game, what would your starting 11 be? Lee, let's start with you, mate. Who would you go for in the last game against Czech Republic of the group?
Right, for the last game, I would go Pickford in goal. I'd keep James at right back. 2 central defenders of Mings and Stones. I'm going to bring in Saka at left back now. Give us a little bit more attacking down that, little bit more quality down the left-hand side from what I've seen in the last game. 2 midfield players for me. Now I'm going to go with Declan Rice as my holding midfield player. Foden and Mount as my 2 midfield players. And then I'm going Kane up front with Sancho and Jack Grealish.
Fair play, Lee Judges. I think that's a great team. I'm not going to disagree too much, really. I like playing players on form, but it doesn't mean over the course of the season they've got to do it in an England shirt as well. And if they're not doing an England shirt, I think they deserve to be dropped because I think we have got enough of our squad to be using. I'm going to agree with you on Jordan Pickford because I just don't see the point of changing him when he played really well the other day. I don't think the other 2 goalkeepers have got the experience to be ready. So Pickford's coming in for me. I'd bring back Kyle Walker. I think Reece James has got an amazing delivery, but if we're not going to play a system that actually allows him to deliver, then Kyle Walker is better getting back. So I'm going to go for Kyle Walker. Left back, I'm going to go with Chilwell. Because I think that Luke Shaw's performance was diabolical. So I'm going to put Chilwell in. I think these players have got to learn that if they have a bad game for England, you're not going to get yourself a regular place in the team. I think he's going to go with Maguire and Stones, if I'm honest. But after Ming's performance, I wouldn't change the centre halves. I think we've been good. We ain't conceded yet with them 2. So let's keep them 2 in. I'm going to agree with you. I think Phillips was so poor the other night. And I think Rice has been okay in both. So I'll give Rice a slot, the nod. I'm going to go with Foden and Mason Mount ahead of him. And then my front 3 are going to be for this one, Harry Kane up top, because I think he'll get a lot more service with who I'm going to put either side of him, which is going to be Saka and Jack Grealish. So that's what I'm going to go with. Probably both be wrong, mate. It'll probably be the same team that played against Croatia, if I'm honest. I think he'll go revert back to that, plus Harry Maguire in the middle. Because I think Maguire, if he is going to play Maguire throughout this tournament, Lee, he's got to play him against the Czech Republic. You can't start him in a knockout round.
Exactly that. And as some of us put the Czech, that means Henderson should come in as well then, because what are they doing there if they're not going to play? And this is the game, I agree. You know what I mean? So we'll have to wait and see. There could be a few changes in this game. I think that maybe there could be a few. So that is a bit of a worry, but why play a half-fit Harry Maguire when you've got 2 central defenders playing really, really well? That's my issue there. And with Henderson at the moment, you've got Declan Rice and Phillips that we know are fit. But there you go. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good point as well from Dishan. You've obviously put him in yours. I didn't in mine. I'll absolutely love this kid. Honestly, what does Sancho have to do to start? Maybe you're right. Maybe if Lee's right and Saka can come down at left back, then I would play Sancho on the right. But
I think if he goes for Chilwell, I really do think that, and he's got to play a left side. I think then, it is Sancho or Saka. Saka has been doing the business in the Premier League. Don't really get to see too many games in June, but what I have seen of Saka, he's done okay. But if I'm going to be honest, then the person that's impressed me most is Jude Bellingham when he's played. So you've got to be looking to get him in somewhere along the line, and then you've got to leave out Foden or a Mount. So for me, sometimes you've got these players that can make an impact from the bench, like a Jude Bellingham. But you've got to have a manager that's prepared to do it.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I said about Kane, players not deserving to start. I actually don't think Kane deserves to start after that, if I'm honest with you. But Harry's given his opinion. He felt like our midfield couldn't get control of the game. Totally agree. I didn't know where they were for most of the game, if I'm honest. There's no tempo settler in there. Physically, they dominated Croatia, but when Scotland matched that, they were out of ideas. It's pretty fair for him. I know he's taking a mick, but he's actually spot on there.
I think he's right there, and that's why the midfield needs changing, and that's why I would keep Harry Kane for that. Listen, if you played all those players that I've said and Harry Kane produces another performance like that, then you can look at it and go, well, okay,
Yeah.
hold on a minute. Something's not quite right. But at this moment in time, I've got to say this now that for me, Harry Kane deserves to be in the team because of what he's done in the past. You know what I mean? He's not a bad player overnight, and give him the right tools. And you know, we go on about, as Arsenal fans, Aubameyang's not doing the business because he's not had the service, he's not had this and that. You know what I mean? So you can't then turn around and go, oh yeah, but Aubameyang ain't getting all service, and then because it's Harry Kane, no. Like, look at it, like, you know, in perspective, he's not getting the service at the moment. Now let's be honest. England have got a lot more options of creativity than Arsenal. So let's give him that creativity, and then if he still plays like that, then you can look at the situation. But for me, at this moment in time, it's still a definite start.
Fair play, and I couldn't agree with you more. Let's bring in Kenny Ken. What a top lad. We all love Kenny. Make sure you go and follow Kenny Ken on all the socials. Top bloke, massive goner, and a good friend. He says, hi everyone, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for that, Kenny. I'm sure most of you in the chat have hit the subscribe button and liked this video. If you haven't done so, please do. You don't have to, but it would make us happy. Secondly, the thing is, England aren't as good as we think. Why aren't England producing midfielders who can keep possession? It's a good point, Lee. I look at that situation in midfield, and you know, we have got some options, don't get me wrong, but it's not quite working at the moment in that centre midfield last night, was it? So maybe it'll change. It's one of those things with England, isn't it? Against Croatia, I was really impressed with Rice and Phillips. Last night it didn't work at all.
No, you know, you have, and this is what I'm saying. You have to give Scotland a bit of credit for that. I felt McGinn and I forgot his name now. What's the Scottish lad from Chelsea? What's his name?
Gilmour.
Gilmour. They was outstanding in there. Billy Gilmour. They was, you know, and I'll tell you this now. John McGinn gets you know, I think he's very, very underrated as a footballer. I've watched him against Aston Villa, play against Arsenal a few times and dominate Arsenal, but no one really says too much. He comes in yesterday and he dominates midfield yesterday. I love the way he lets the ball go across his body and out the other way. He does it so well, tirelessly does it. He's a very, very good player. Not in the world class mode, but a very, very good player. And those two players yesterday were outstanding in the midfield and stopped our boys playing. And, you know, it would have been really interesting to see Billy Gilmour up against Jude Bellingham yesterday, to see how that was there. But I will say one thing. What I did love yesterday was that when Billy Gilmour and Mason Mount went at it, two Chelsea players, but you know, that tells you that both players have got a little bit of mental strength, and I love that.
I totally agree with you. I really do. I was a huge fan of. I'm a huge fan of McGinn. I think McTominay as well is another player who's rated. They've got some good players. Got some players, haven't they, Scotland? Just they lack a little bit of quality up top. Okay, let's move on to this lastly before we wrap up. Would you rather play Germany or Portugal or France if we win the group? If we do beat Czech Republic, we're probably going to win the group. So what do you think to that, Lee? Who would you rather have, Germany, Portugal or France?
You know what? Out of those three, sorry, I'd go Germany because I don't think they've got the firepower of the other two. I think Portugal and France will hurt us defensively. But I don't think Germany, I'm not saying that they won't, but not as frequent as that. I can't see our defence keeping Mbappe, Benzema and Griezmann quiet all the game, like, you know. Portugal have got some very, very good forward players as well, like, you know. I mean, I'm going to say this now: Portugal, don't write anybody write them off will be mad.
Well, I've got them in my sweepstake and they're my second favourite. So,
you know what I mean? I think on any, they've got some ballers. They've got players that can make things happen in the terms of. I'll tell you what, like, you know, even in that game that they played the other day, that, you know, I think we said it, didn't we? We went on air and they was like, with about 10 minutes to go, 0-0. It's going to be 0-0, 3-0. What I'm saying is that then they've got players that can perform. You know, I think a little bit like, if I'll be honest, Portugal, take Ronaldo out of it at the moment, they've got players that have just underperformed a little bit like us. So, but potentially, I think that they can cause problems, and I think they'll get better. I still think England will get better as the tournament goes on once Gareth Southgate sorts out his team. But Germany, for me, have still got some really good players and wouldn't want to play. Listen, if we've got to play, whatever happens, we've got to play one of them. Is that right?
Yeah. If we win the group, we've got to play one of those 3 teams. If we come second, then it's different.
Do you know what? I'm going to say this now. Let's draw against Czech Republic then.
I said that, and I'd rather take Spain, Slovakia, or Sweden. But a lot of people
Is that
want to win
what
the group.
the next 3 is?
Yeah.
I'm changing my team. Let's bring Harry Maguire in. We'll play Chilwell. We'll play the whole lot. We'll play 6 backs and no forwards. Harry Kane's dropped.
I must admit, I know we shouldn't look like that, and that's what some of the England fans are saying.
Listen, you've got to play Germany, France, or something at the end of
one stage.
I'd rather take them on, Germany, France, Portugal, at Wembley, at home, than going away and wherever we're going to be. Because I don't know that obviously if we don't win the group, we're not going to stay in Wembley, are we? We're going to be moving around. No. So for me, Wembley playing at home is the key fight for us.
Yeah, I think I'm the same because I look forward to this tournament because England are going to be playing one of those teams. I don't look forward to England, Slovakia, or England versus Czech Republic. I don't. I look forward to the big games. So why not? We might as well try and go for it, mightn't we? In answer to that question, who would I rather have? It would be Germany. France are my favourites to win the whole thing. Portugal are very close second. Very close second, Portugal. And don't write off Ronaldo. He's my tip for the Golden Boot. Do not write off Ronaldo. He is top class still, and he's still got the body of a 25-year-old because he's fit as a fiddle still. So I fancy Ronaldo to get Golden Boot. And Portugal-France final was my prediction. We'll see what happens. Lee, we're going to wrap this up, mate. It's been nice, actually. We've had the most we've ever had watching live. I think everyone wanted to tune in to listen to our thoughts on England. So thank you to everyone for watching. There was almost 85 at one stage, which is good for a start of a new channel. So thanks, everyone. If you haven't done so already, please like and subscribe to this channel. It'd be great to show support of us and keep it growing. And we will be back. We have a break tomorrow, but we will probably be for Father's Day. But we will probably be back on Monday night with some content running through regularly every day next week. So thank you very much, guys. Lee, been a pleasure, mate. Hope you've enjoyed that. It's been a nice
chat. It's been great night. Just wish everybody a brilliant Father's Day out there. And it's my first Father's Day without my dad tomorrow, so it's going to be a tough one. But so for the people that lost their dads and all that, enjoy the memories of your dads, and the ones that have still got their dads on this planet, look after them tomorrow and make sure they have a good day.
Well said, Lee. Thanks to everyone in the chat. Please enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we will see you next time. Take care, guys.